CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. A humidex advisory remains in place for much of southern Alberta, including Lethbridge and Medicine Hat as well. Now, we are hearing temperatures feeling more around 39 to 40 degrees. Story's going to be coming up with us in just a moment. But meanwhile, the city of Lethbridge says that they have seen a huge surge of power use of air conditioning units. The city is asking residents to voluntarily reduce electricity because extreme heat throughout the province has now increased demand. City officials say they expect power usage to reach close to record levels today. Now, last summer, the city peaked at 162 megawatts.
Give them a break. Don't use your non-essential electrical items. So if you can defer using your dishwasher or laundry appliances, that would be greatly appreciated as well.
Now, the city peaked last summer at 162 megawatts of power. The Alberta Electric System Operator says that a number of generators are currently out of service because of maintenance. And generation is currently very low between the peak hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. That is considered the electricity rush hour, so you're being urged to not do your dishes, not do your laundry. Hold off on those things until a little bit later in the day. Okay, Dory Rossiter, high humidex today. That is going to ease off, though, in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of the reason it's going to ease off is because tonight we're expecting a cold front to move through, and you do need that cold in the upper levels to create thunderstorms. That's expected to happen in many areas across southern Alberta tonight, so that will cool things down somewhat. But yes, our humidex was very high. You get that dry air moving up from Arizona, meeting that moist, pockets of water that we have here in southern Alberta because of the flooding, and there's where you get the high humidex. But I'll have more details coming up in a couple of minutes.
Okay, thanks, Jory. And we've also got more coming up and a look at how southern Albertans are managing to beat the heat today. And the University of Lethbridge, it's now hosting more than 200 high river flood evacuees. Families and individuals began arriving on Friday. The U of L says it has 400 rooms available, including some 4-bedroom townhouses, as well as units with everything from 1 to 6 bedrooms. Officials say some of the evacuees have gone home to assess the extent of flood damage, but their rooms are being held for up to 48 hours in case they have to return to Lethbridge. The U of L is also providing meals and other services.
All of campus is pretty much open for these people. Our sport and wellness center, our pool, any of our day camps through fine arts, sport and rec, and also science. And some of them have taken advantage of those opportunities for their kids. Because of the extreme heat, we are encouraging them to make use of campus by visiting our art gallery and our library.
The U of L has offered its facilities until August the 2nd and says it has enough volunteers to help right now, but the recruitment office will contact us if they do need more. The latest head count results are out for the city of Lethbridge. 90,417 people now call Lethbridge home. That's an increase of just over 1.5% from 2012. Here's a breakdown of the population. Across the west, north, and south parts of the city, 25,774 people live in North Lethbridge. That's an increase of just over 1.3%. South Lethbridge, they have 30,655%. In West Lethbridge, they saw an increase of 3.47% at 33,988 residents. Well, not only will voters in the McLeod riding have a new constituency for the next federal election, they're also going to have a new MP. Ted Menzies announced today he will not be running for re-election. Menzies has represented the McLeod riding in Ottawa since 2004. He says after seeing the devastation of flooding across southern Alberta, he's decided to stay closer to his home in Claresholm. Because of the decision, Menzies, who is currently the Minister of State for Finance, has asked the Prime Minister not to consider him for any future cabinet positions in the Conservative government. The McLeod riding is one of many in southern Alberta that's being impacted by federal boundary changes. In 2015, it's going to be known as the Foothills riding. Canada's new e-passport has just been unveiled. It's a lot more secure than the current one. The e-passport includes an embedded electronic chip. The information on that can't be modified without invalidating the entire thing. There's also a photo and digital security feature that proves it was issued by the Canadian government. And now there's also a longer-term option for adults. You can pay $160 for a 10-year passport. On a side note, if you happen to lose your passport in the floods recently or other residency documents, the federal government is actually waiving the fees to replace them. Medicine Hat man who has pleaded guilty to murdering a 2-year-old boy will not be sentenced until the fall. TJ Heller has pled guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder back on what was supposed to be the start of his first-degree murder trial this spring. All other charges, including sexual assault, were stayed. Heller was charged after a 2-year-old boy was found critically injured in a Medicine Hat home in June of 2011. The little boy was rushed to hospital but died later that day. Heller was scheduled to be sentenced today, but both the Crown and defense needed time to review a psychiatric report that has just been completed. Second-degree murder carries an automatic life sentence, but in September, that's when a judge will determine just how long Heller has to serve before he becomes eligible for parole. Will the end of school and warm nights mean one thing for city crews? They're going to be cleaning up a lot more graffiti in the coming days. Lethbridge city workers discovered more than 60 graffiti tags in just 4 hours this morning, and they were only halfway through their shift. Most of the vandalism was in North Lethbridge and the alleys behind 13th Street. But tags were also spray painted on Westminster School, some businesses and signs. There were another dozen or more in the downtown core. City staff say it's an almost daily occurrence during the summer.
There's always some, and if we keep on top of it, we can keep it to a minimum. If it's on for 2 weeks, it's got a 90% chance of reoccurring. And if you get it off within 48 hours, then there's a good chance it won't come back.
Police are encouraging people to keep an eye open for offenders. And when it comes to graffiti, the public is being urged to record it, report it, and then remove it. We have brought you countless stories of head shaves in the past, but this one is a twist, and this is some hair you've got to see. This is 12-year-old Caden Seaforth. He was in the hot seat as his hair was shaved today at the YMCA. Caden set up the Save It or Shave It campaign for the Strive campaign, a group that helps youth connect with their community and how to become a leader for others. Caden was able to raise over $700 for the campaign, and over $500 was in the Shave It bucket. So the hair had to come off. Not only did Caden cool off with his new hairdo, the organization benefited as well.
So to see a young person like this actually embody the spirit of the organization and the exact idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. I mean, this is his initiative. It's his idea. He did it all on his own.
Well, it was because the Y has sent me to Ontario and they've taught me how to swim and gave my friends a good place to hang out for a long time, and I just want to give back.
Caden says it took him about 13 months to grow the hair, and he says he won't be sweating as much now that summer has officially arrived in Lethbridge. New West Theatre is bringing back the country with their latest performance. Country Gold Songs of the Prairie Grass features old country tunes from the past with songs from Randy Travis, George Jones, and Patsy Cline. Performances start tonight and go until July the 27th at the Yates Theatre. Director Jeremy Mason says the group is hoping to attract all ages with their mix of song and storytelling.
With this show, we really wanted to tackle sort of traditional country roots and the elements that's about country. So this particular review show, we've kind of changed the structure, and there's a lot more storytelling elements to it, and has a really sort of magical country rustic feel to it. So with cowboy poetry and tall tales, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really good time.
Shows get underway nightly at 7:30 with a few matinee performances as well during July. You can purchase your tickets at any Ticketmaster location in Lethbridge or online at lethbridge.ca/tickets. Well, tonight, Farm TV goes on summer vacation to County Meath, Ireland, to visit the annual Haymaking Festival in the town of Trim.
Farm.tv dropped by the Trim Haymaking Festival in Trim, County Meath, Ireland, just outside the walls of Trim Castle, which was built in the 12th century. We spoke with local historian Noel French about the festival.
The festival started here in the 1960s because people were afraid that their heritage and culture was being lost, and particularly things that were going on then. Mechanization of farming had started, tractors, horses were beginning to disappear off the farms, and so this festival started to preserve the heritage and culture, the rural heritage and culture.
There was plenty to see and do for everyone. Traditional crafts such as handcrafted willow products, butter churning, wool spinning, and more. There were farm animals to get to know. And dancing. One of the many highlights was the donkey derby. All in all, the Trim Haymaking Festival was an interesting and fun event and highly recommended for anyone interested in the cultural history of rural Ireland.
Farm TV is brought to you by DA Building Systems.
Coming up, Dory's going to tell us more about just how long it's going to be this warm. In the markets today, though, the dollar hit one of its lowest levels since September.